Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking into something specific. Fire protection compliance for Australian small businesses, specifically the AS1851 standard.
Yeah, and our mission really is to get a handle on the challenges these businesses are facing. What are they up against? What do they actually want from a better system?
We've gathered this from, direct feedback, documented experiences, even digging into the regulatory documents themselves.
And the key takeaway, it seems pretty clear. Many small businesses find AS1851, complex. It's costly. The admin is a real burden.
They're looking for simpler standards, it sounds like, better support, requirements that actually make sense on the ground.
Exactly. And it's quite telling, isn't it, that NSW has pushed back enforcing AS1851 until February 2026.
Right. That delay really flags that there were probably some pretty significant issues with the original timeline or maybe the demands of the standard itself.
Definitely suggests some underlying problems.
Okay, so let's get into this gauntlet of AS1851. The complexity, sources call it a complex web, even juggling chainsaws. Why so complicated?
Well, part of it is that it keeps changing. It's dynamic. The rulebook changes quite often, apparently. AS1851 gets modified routinely.
And even the newer forms, like in NSW, are described as extensive and complex, too.
Precisely. And you have to remember, AS1851 is written as a detailed instruction manual for competent personnel.
Not exactly light reading for the average small business owner.
Not at all, which leads to this heavy reliance on outside contractors, and that can create its own vulnerabilities.
Absolutely. You're placing a lot of trust and money into external hands. And speaking of money, the financial strain seems pretty real.
Oh, yeah. Concerns about potentially increasing costs for maintenance come up a lot.
And things that used to be recommendations, like replacing smoke alarms after 10 years, are now mandatory.
That's right. Mandatory replacement. Plus, they have to fix defects promptly. If they don't, they face fines. Or worse, their insurance could be invalidated.
And these aren't small fines, are there? We heard figures like up to $66,000.
That's the potential upper limit, yes. Hefty fines. And the fear of voided insurance is a huge motivator, or rather, a huge stressor.
I bet. The NSW regulatory impact statement even put annual costs anywhere from $850 to over $55,000.
That's a massive range, isn't it? It really depends on the business size and type. Shows how uneven the impact can be.
And it's not just the direct cost. It's the time, the admin load. Sources mention an increased documentation burden.
Yeah.
Meticulous record-keeping needed.
Yeah, the emphasis on records is significant. Detailed logs kept for 7 years. You can't just scribble sprinkler system checked anymore.
Right, that won't fly.
No. Entries need specifics, and there's talk of needing digital record systems too.
Another cost, another thing to learn.
And the business owner is still responsible for making sure their contractor's paperwork is all correct and compliant. It adds another layer.
So, prove you do the work, prove it in detail, and keep proving it for 7 years. Okay. What about the inspections themselves? Sounds like maybe more frequent checks. Yes, potentially. New, potentially more frequent intervals, ranging from monthly all the way out to 30 yearly checks. Plus these mandatory major servicing intervals at 5, 10, 15 years and so on.
Are there issues with the tests themselves?
There are concerns, yeah. Some tests, like hydrostatic flow testing on older systems, apparently can lead to failure. They might cause leaks.
Oh, great. So the test itself could break something.
Potentially, yes. Which is why some might have avoided them historically. And then there's just the practicality. Think about doing loud, audible fire panel tests every month in a hospital.
Impractical. Disruptive.
Exactly. Or the time and access needed for, say, those 25-yearly sprinkler checks. It makes you question if this one-size-fits-all approach really works for every building type.
It feels a bit disconnected from the day-to-day reality of running a business sometimes. And beneath all this, is there enough support, enough guidance?
That seems to be a major gap. Sources suggest that even some practitioners lack competence with the codes, and building owners. They often lack the necessary support and backing from regulatory bodies.
So owners are left trying to understand complex policy they have no background in.
Pretty much. They often have no knowledge or understanding of policy and don't know who to ask or can't access someone for that detailed technical advice.
Because the standard itself isn't a training manual.
Correct. AS1851 is not a training document. So what you hear from businesses is a call for, clearer communication, stronger support, and resources from the government.
Okay, so if we boil it down, small businesses get that fire safety is crucial, Non-negotiable, really.
Absolutely. No one's arguing against safety.
But the way AS1851 compliance works now feels, to many of them, just too complex, too expensive, and the admin burden is huge. The inspections can feel impractical, and they feel undersupported.
That sums it up well. They're not rejecting safety. They're asking for a system that's more practical, more supportive, more enabling for a small operation.
It's about finding that balance, isn't it, between robust safety and achievable compliance.
Exactly, a pragmatic approach.
So here's something for you, the listener, to think about. How do regulations, in any field really, impact the small businesses you interact with? Could more collaboration, maybe a more partnership-based approach between rulemakers and businesses lead to better results for everyone?
Something to consider.
That's our deep dive for today.